Hey everyone, welcome back. In this module, we're going to be looking at a few techniques to take your material, get it ready for the stage. So we'll be looking at things like taglines, so like toppers, add-ons, segues, the flow of your joke, the structure of your set, and then the importance of the closing line, your final joke. So we'll have a look at all those different things, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
In this lesson, we're going to talk about the structure of your routine, how you put your jokes together to make it as palatable for the audience and as funny as possible. And there's certain industry standards that just will never change. And pretty much, I think, across the board, every comedian would agree that you have to start strong and you have to finish strong. So your best two jokes, the opening line and your closing line, should be your best jokes. Some say the second best and finish on the best. Some say start on the best and finish on the second. But at the end of the day, finish really strong. Obviously, start strong, finish strong. That's the only thing that matters. What you put in the middle is just a question of how that flows the best and what makes the best laughs and how it flows for you, what works for you. When I was doing comedy, I didn't really do transitions or segues. I used to write my jokes on little cards, and because I was such a shocker for remembering the routine, I used to just go from joke to joke, and that worked, and I used to get laughs. And sometimes I'd change it around a little bit because there were some good jokes in there, so I just lay them all out on the floor, and then say start with Weetabix and finish on insects. You know, that was the way I done mine. I haven't seen many people doing it like that, but there are people that still use that similar sort of style. Primarily, I think the majority of people want to be more along the lines of Seinfeld or Jim Jeffries and those huge stars. So basically what works for you, but it's all about making it the funniest. That's it, getting the most laughs. So whatever gets the most laughs, do that. Yeah. So when it comes to working out how best to put your jokes in what order and how what's the funniest, there is no substitute for getting on stage and delivering those jokes and seeing where the laughs are. There never will be. There's nothing. You can sit there and write them out 10 times, 100 times, and it still won't work until you've said those jokes in front of a live audience, and that will work for you. So you've got to start somewhere. So have your best guess, do your routine, record your set and see where the biggest laughs are and see what worked, and then go again, start again, go back to the drawing board and reposition your jokes. If something's working really well, then maybe that's your closing line. If something's gets the biggest laughs of all, maybe open with that. But at the end of the day, you've just got to keep working at it. The routine, what you start with almost certainly won't be what you finish with in a few months from now. It just evolves. Comedy evolves, and you get rid of stuff that's not getting such big laughs and replace it with stuff that's getting bigger laughs. It seems sort of common sense, but that's the way it goes. Some people, a lot of comedians would go by the principle that try a joke 3 times, and if it doesn't get laughs in those 3 times, then just get rid of that joke. And that's, a lot of people would consider that's a great rule of thumb. Again, you're the one with the microphone. That's always up to you. What I find is I don't think I've ever, myself, ever got rid of any jokes. I just put them aside, because sometimes years later, you're looking at those jokes, and a slight change in those jokes on the way you deliver, or a slight change in the setup, can make those jokes come alive again, and all of a sudden they're 10 times better than they were, and they are getting laughs. So I don't think you should, in my opinion, don't get rid of jokes, just shelve them or put them aside until you've had a good think about it. Maybe because something must have been funny for you to bring up in the first place. So don't get rid of jokes, just shelve them and sort of let them rest for a while and let them get better with time. And when you write a joke, especially that feeling, you're writing this joke or this particular bit, and you can't wait to get on stage, you're so excited and deliver it. And of course, there's nothing better than when you do that and get laughs. But sometimes in most people's routines, especially when you're starting out, there's going to be some jokes that you've written that are in your routine that really sort of don't really belong there. And it might be best sometimes to, again, take them out of your routine, replace them with something that really feels better and more natural, and just shelve them for the time being. Because they're not necessarily bad jokes, but sometimes they just don't belong in there. But they're really funny. I used to have a lot of jokes in my routine that didn't work for me, that would have worked for someone else, but I just couldn't deliver them. They were funny, but they just weren't funny when I said them. So I should just shelve them, and who knows, maybe rewrite them or give them to someone else. So don't always try and force a funny bit or a funny joke into your routine that doesn't belong there. Just write something else, don't be lazy. And of course, there's nothing better than getting on stage and practice. Take as many opportunities you can to get on stage. Just keep working hard. There is never going to be a substitute for getting in front of a live audience. Don't be afraid. The most important thing is to remember you are going to get times on stage, especially when you're starting off, where you're going to do badly. Quite often you're going to do badly. Get used to it. Get a thick skin. Develop that thick skin early. So once you realise it's okay to do badly, because really trying different ways and different styles, it's what it's all about. So eventually you go, my God, I'm just getting the laughs. I really am happy with the laughs I'm getting. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try different things. It's okay to try different energies, different styles. Just keep practicing in these early stages, because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into a certain character as a deadpan comedian when in fact you're a high energy comedian. It would have got you so much more laughs. I mean, I'm the worst culprit because I was a deadpan character when in fact I don't want to be deadpan. I wish I would have been a high energy one, but I just got laughs because I was deadpan, and my jokes I got good laughs, and I was happy enough. I should have gone for the bigger laughs and practiced different energies and different things, which I regret. But most importantly, the point we're trying to make is get on stage as often as possible, try new things, try different styles, and practice. And I'll see you in the next lesson.
Hey guys, welcome back. So in this lesson, we're going to be looking at segues. A segue is basically a way to transition from one bit or one joke into another. And we usually do this quite sort of seamlessly, so the audience don't even notice that you've done it. So this way, the set feels and sounds like it flows. It's not as like clunky. There's no abrupt sort of stop and starts, which can be distracting. But I do think it's important to note that it can depend on your style. So like personally, I'm a bit of a storyteller. So for me to, be talking about my family, for example, and then to suddenly be talking about caravans is going to be quite distracting, and people are going to be like, why the fuck is he suddenly talking about this? But I do feel like there is comedic value and entertainment value in doing it abruptly. I just think that stylistically it's not something that I would do. Typically, I tend to talk about my family. And let's say, for example, I have a new joke that I want to use, and it's about driving, for example. I might not even slide in another joke to segue into this driving joke. It could just be just an afterthought after I've finished the joke about my kid, because you could link them with how messy a car gets once you've had children, that kind of thing, and then suddenly I'm into the world of cars, driving, etc. It's not so abrupt and incongruent with what I've been talking about. But again, that's just me, like my style. I really feel like if I was to just randomly go off on some tangent, I think people would notice, and I think that can distract from what I'm saying. And that's the last thing that I want. I want people listening and paying full attention to what my setup is. But I feel like there are comedians that get away with it really well. Like they can just, be talking about their dog, and then, or speaking of washing machines, and then they're just off. I find that can be quite funny. But again, I feel like it depends on the style of that comedian, and it's something that wouldn't work for me personally. So again, stylistically for me to move into something so abruptly, I think would be distracting, and it would negate from the point that I'm making or the joke or setup that I'm making, and that's the last thing I want. I don't want an audience distracted by anything else. I want them to be paying attention to what I'm saying. But there is, as I say, I think there's value in comedians that just do, they can be talking about their dog and then suddenly they're off on a tangent about their washing machine. I find that can be just the transition alone has comedic value. So if you think of it as like a conversation, when you're having a conversation, you tend to naturally everything kind of bleeds into one. And again, this is just my opinion, but I feel like the comedians that I enjoy and the comedian that I want to be is somebody who, when they're performing, is kind of having a conversation with you. So it feels like it's just a natural flow of ideas. So I personally think that the segue can be as simple as just like one tag or like one word that makes you realize that I'm moving away from this bit into another bit, but they are linked. There is a correlation between the two of them. So an example for me would be I talk about moving to this country and how long I've been here, and then I quickly move into talking about meeting my wife, because she was already involved in that part of the setup, but the next part of the next bit is about her and about our marriage and then our son. So they just kind of bleed into each other. But again, that's also because there's a theme going, and the theme is quite strongly family. But my opening joke is about moving to the country, which I can link, which I actually do link my wife to being part of my visa, and then we're in. So an exercise I'd like you to do now is to take a joke that doesn't fit in your routine currently and try and sort of shoehorn it in by finding that commonality. There will be a link somewhere, or you might just have to make one up. But, find something where you can bring in this joke that doesn't belong in your set and bring it in seamlessly, so that, an audience won't really have noticed that you've just gone off on a tangent. So go ahead, complete that exercise, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Hey everyone, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at tags, taglines, toppers, add-ons. There's a lot of antiquated terms, but for the most part, they're just referred to as tags. There's two primary purposes for using them. One is it's almost to like hammer home a point. And sometimes you can use them, or at least I'm guilty of using them, if I feel like the initial joke didn't get the response that I thought it wanted, and I think I can save it or maybe just make it pop a little bit more by adding something onto it. And sometimes I think maybe if the bit is quite sort of complicated, or the punchline is not as it just doesn't pop the way I want it to, I might add something on in order to let the audience know that they've missed that part that they should have been laughing at. But predominantly, what they're used for is it just eliminates the need for another setup. So you already have your setup, you've had your punchline, and now you can just keep tagging it with new punchlines. We have the premise, we have the setup, no other explanation is needed. We can just keep tagging it with punchlines. It's a really quick and effective way to just get, laugh after laugh after laugh. And again, that's what this is. You just want as many laughs as you can get. So the tag is perfect for that. So basically, you've already done the legwork with your setup and your first punchline. The laughs are coming in. The tag just helps you milk it. Just helps you milk that laughter. Important to note as well that it's worth not jumping in too quickly with the tag, because then you're sort of talking yourself out of laughter. Let the laughter die down. Hit it again with another tag. There's some great bits. We'll put some examples down the bottom. There's a Perth comedian, John Pinder, who has a bit which is just tagged to death in one of the best examples ever. We'll put that in the resources below. Hey guys, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at callbacks. So basically, a callback is exactly that. It's referring back to a joke that you told previously. I would say that this early on, in like your first 5 minutes especially, is not really something that you would put a lot of sort of stock into, because typically you're only going to be calling back to something that you were just referencing a minute or two ago anyway. But it's something that you see a lot more commonly with bigger acts that are on stage for a lot longer. Whether it's a recurring callback that will be mentioned again maybe 2 or 3 times before the end of the show. It's like a reward for the audience for like paying attention or for listening. Like sometimes you have Easter eggs or whatever in TV shows where it's for the particularly sort of attentive audience, and it's just like a nice little reward. People feel good for understanding something, for getting something. They feel like they're in on a little secret. So yeah, essentially a callback's not something that you're going to be doing in the first 5 minutes when you're on stage. But it is a tried and tested technique. It's a great technique to keep in your back pocket, to get some understanding of, watch out for it in other acts as well. And it's something that you can then employ later on when you're on stage for longer. There will be some examples of some great callbacks in the section below, so have a look at those, and I will see you in the next lesson.
In this lesson, we're going to talk about your closing line. So that's basically the last joke that you tell in your 5 minutes and then get off the stage. So typically you'd get that laugh and then say thanks and good night. When you, the two most important jokes in stand-up comedy are your opening line and your closing line. So the closing line obviously is the last impression, and that's what the audience is going to be thinking of when you walk off stage. Oh, I like that person, that was funny, I really enjoyed it. So it's you can't really stress enough how important it is to finish on a high. So make sure you do finish on a high. If you can tie your routine together in that closing line, or some sort of callback perhaps, that might help. But at the end of the day, it's all about funniness. Just got to finish on a high. Try not to be too clever, just finish on a really good laugh. It's also worth noting as well, in the early stages of your stand-up, that you think that the best line is the closing line. It might turn out that halfway through you're getting the biggest laugh. Well, maybe that's the time then to adjust your act and move your jokes around a little bit so that you finish on the biggest laugh. So this is what it's all about. It's a journey. It's practicing. There's no substitute than getting in front of a live audience and delivering jokes. That's the only real honest way of testing and trying. There's no substitute to that. You can play around as much as you like with a notepad and trying different things and be clever, but you've just got to get up there, deliver the jokes and see what works. I encourage you to record every set you do at the beginning, and for the rest of your career, as a fact, it's not a bad move. But certainly in the early stages, record it. And then you can listen back and see where the biggest laughs were. Or more importantly, so often, is where the biggest laughs weren't. Where there were no laughs. You do not want to end with no laughs. And if there's a place in your routine where you're not getting laughs, then just get rid of it. There's no point in labouring. If you're not getting laughs, just get rid of it. Simple as that. Just to recap, your closing line is the most important line in your routine. So feel free to play around, move it, adjust things, adjust your act accordingly to make sure that you finish on that high, that big laugh at the end of your routine. So practice, practice, practice.